Hello and welcome back, I'm EVM. Now, to silence my inbox over the last 4 or 5 days, I've decided to do a video about the Tesla price drop and whether or not we are replacing our Model 3 with a new one, because 2 days before this price drop happened, last Wednesday I think it was, I did a video essentially stating that, among other reasons, we're not getting a new Tesla because they're too expensive. And we're not getting another car because we want to remain within the supercharger network, because I don't trust the public charging network as it stands today. 2 days later, Mr. Musk watching my channel and going, you know what, he's right, they are too expensive. So you're welcome. But ultimately, does that mean that we are now going to place an order for one of them, or even a Model Y? Because I don't think the price drop itself was a shock. I think everybody kind of saw that something had to happen, just given the sheer amount of used inventory they had on their website. But it's the amount, the sheer scale of the drop is what I don't think anybody expected. The Model 3 has dropped roughly £5,500, the Model Y has dropped about 7, and the Model Y Performance just over 9. So it's significant. It really is a game changer, I would say, for a lot of people who are thinking about buying one, but now have definitely decided to get one. But as far as we're concerned, what we're going to do is YouTube gives me more money if you watch more of the video. But no, ultimately, joking aside, we're not going to get another Model 3 or even a Model Y, as tempting as it may be, because ultimately it doesn't change anything. Not in our case. You see, back in August when I did the original video that kicked all this off, should I replace my Model 3 with something else? Because back during the summer, the used prices were so inflated, we could have almost got, well, most of our money back, even though the car was 2.5 years old. So we thought, well, should we take advantage of this? Because this isn't going to stay like this forever, and sure enough, it didn't. But it could have been a good time to sell, only the new car prices were equally as inflated, and ultimately, to get a Model 3, we'd have had to sell our Model 3, and I always sell it privately, but essentially it'd be our Model 3 plus £12,000 extra. That would have got us a new car. Today, right now, I've had a look online for the past hour or so and thought, well, this is roughly what I'll get for mine as it stands today. We'd need our car plus about £13,000. So we've gone from needing an extra 12 grand to needing an extra 13 grand, which, given the car's 6 months older and other plates happened since then, essentially we're in the exact same position we were in during the summer. It's changed absolutely nothing for us. The only thing I guess it does give us is summer's option again. We'll still need roughly the same amount, and it is an older car now, is our used one, so ultimately that accounts for the slight higher amount, but we could jump in one for the same reasons we could have done in summer, but for the same reasons we didn't in summer, we won't be now. So yeah, that's essentially it. We're not going to do this. So what change, moving on a little bit, does this have for the whole used market for Model 3s? A lot of people seem to think there's going to be a massive drop in prices of, well, in this case, obviously Teslas. That won't happen, because it already has. About, well, I would say the preceding month before this price drop, maybe a little bit more, the prices of all used cars, especially used EVs, dropped hugely. I mean, it was probably £6,000-7,000 in the space of a month, because I've kept an eye on mine each month just to see what it's doing, and it effectively went like that. So this massive price drop on used Model 3s, again, it's not going to happen. You're not going to find £20,000 Model 3s. It just doesn't exist. Essentially, it's going to be what it should have been had the ridiculous used prices not have happened. So I did a video nearly 3 years ago now where I compared PCP finance over 3 years versus a lease. And in that, obviously, to figure out how much PCP would cost in total, I'd need to figure out how much the car would be worth, or predict how much my Model 3 Standard Range Plus would be worth 3 years later. So if I did the PCP thing and sold it after 3 years, what would I get back? And this is what I said. I think if you sold it privately and did it all yourself, you would get
maybe £28,000 for this when it's 3 years old.
So my budget was based around me assuming I would get around £28,000 for my car when it's 3 years old. So if I did want to trade it in, I could figure out what my budget would be in the replacement. I think in 2 months' time, my 2020 Standard Range Plus, with the mileage it's got, will be worth at least £28,000. And that's based on what I've seen for older cars, like 2019 cars, as well as what mine's currently worth and what I think is going to happen on the used market. Because we might see a little temporary drop as a lot of people order one of these new, but then it will even. I think we'll essentially end up with about £28,000 for a 3-year-old Model 3. So all that's happened is the used market went ridiculous and now it's gone back to where it should have been, where I thought it would be 3 years previously. So if you hadn't had all this cost of living crisis and the chip shortage and the whole thing that's going on in the world right now, we'd have had the steady depreciation curve that you usually get with a new car and be at the exact point, I'm going to call myself the oracle here, the exact point I predicted 3 years previously. So in 2 months' time, I'm where I thought I would be. Yes, it'd be nice if it was higher, but higher inflated used market typically means more expensive new cars. It does fluctuate, but you get my point. It's like buying a house. In fact, there was someone up the road from me a few years ago and they thought, well, house prices have never been any higher. Let's sell a house. But it's like, well, hang on a minute. Aren't you buying a house of equivalent size and value or even bigger? So ultimately the house you're buying has gone up with you're no better off, essentially. Yours has gone up, but so has theirs. So you're not really doing anything. You're trading one for the other. And this is kind of where we're at the moment. It's not changed anything from the original predictions. It's not really changed anything for us in our situation from the original summer video saying, should we, shouldn't we? Now, there are a few people that will have missed out on this one. I think it's probably worth mentioning this. If you bought a Tesla, 3 or Y certainly, in December, then you're probably going to be a bit peeved because the car's just dropped either £5,500 to £9,000 overnight. That's one of those things. I don't know what to say. It's one of those things. For me, it happens in reverse more often than it happens like this. So I know many, many people who ordered, let's stick with Tesla, who ordered a Tesla and then a week later the price went up. It was like, whoa, I just got in there, saved myself several £1,000s. Whew! So it happens both ways. And this is unfortunately, for some people, the other way. But if I'd have sold mine in August and then gone, oh, wait a minute, the car's just dropped £5,500. Damn it. But I got £5,500, £6,000 more for my used car that I traded in than I expected. So again, it evens out. If you weren't part X in a car, again, I guess you're out of luck. So there's many variables, don't get me wrong, many situations. But for us, and for a lot of people out there, it doesn't really matter. It's good. I'm glad things are getting cheaper. The main effect I think this will have is on other manufacturers. If you're looking at a £45,000 Tesla Model Y, and that is the cheapest it's ever been, then that puts it smack bang in some fairly average cars. The Nissan Ariya, for example, that's about £42,000, £4,000 starting price. Would you go for a Nissan Ariya or a Tesla Model Y and the supercharger network it comes with and so forth? The Mustang Mach-E base model starts at 46, I think. I think I'd go for the Model Y instead of that. And I could, go through many other cars that are in that kind of mid-40 price bracket. Other manufacturers have to respond. They have to do, at least once the waiting times drop a little bit, because a Model Y is going to be very appealing to a lot of people. Again, especially because of the charging network. And if you could pay just a few £1,000s more than something which arguably is a much lesser vehicle, without mentioning names, I don't want to upset any owners, then you're going to do that. People like Tesla. It's a nice brand name according to the internet. Some people hate it, it divides opinion, but quite frankly, most people who own one say that it is the best electric car to own. Mainly because of the charging network, if I'm honest, not because of the car. But you get my point. So, yeah, that's it really. We're sticking for now. We have the option, it's still there. It's come back, I guess, as an option. So if you did want to change, that's back on the table. But ultimately, that's it. We're just keeping the used one until something happens, something changes, or I don't know. Who knows where we'll end up. So let me know if this changes anything for you. Are you now ordering something because it's dropped, maybe a Y or a 3? On that note, for the £2 extra, I'd go for the Y over the Model 3. It's a slightly newer car. It feels better made. It's slightly bigger in terms of it's a hatchback. I prefer the Model 3 in terms of looks and its efficiency over the Y, but I think now it's only a couple of grand extra. I'll go for the Y, definitely. Anyway, I'll finish there. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.